With the Monster Hunter Iceborne expansion coming out soon, you may find yourself hankering to scratch your Mon Hunt hype itch. Especially if you play on Xbox like me and the PS4 beta passed you by, blowing raspberries into the wind. Yeah, I hate betas. I didn't want to play it anyway. It's my favorite game and I need it now! I wish I could will it onto my hard drive at this very moment. But the date is set and we all have to wait. So what should we do to pass the time? There are only so many times you can get killed by rando teammates in this PvE game before you turn it off. There has to be something better to do than to give in and finally get those crown achievements. Let me turn this up while I think. I've got it. I know what you should do. You should play Monster Hunter on PlayStation 2, of course. Let's go back in time to the year 2004, when Facebook came online and Shrek 2 dominated box offices. Simpler times, if you ask me. Because this is the year little 8-year-old James played Monster Hunter for the very first time. It started off as a game I played with my cousin. He was way more savvy on video games and ultimately introduced me to the action RPG that would change my life. It truly is one of, if not my very favorite game franchise. It's why I wanted to make this video. It's right up there next to Disgaea, with Souls games pulling a solid third. I have to say, for my favorite franchise list to be made up of entirely Japanese-made games, I really picked the wrong console to actually continue playing all of those games. It's an old story I've told already about the first Gears of War converting me, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Monster Hunter, baby! On that fateful Friday in 2008, my cousin and I both made characters and took turns doing hunts on our saves. Yes, on the same PlayStation. Yes, we had to restart many times to go back and forth. I think we made it up to Jungle Menace, the first time we hunted Yayan Kutku. That was the first major roadblock, and it stopped us dead in our tracks for a while. But I had a blast, and when I got home, the first thing I said was, "Daddy, I want Monster Hunter." He picked up the game for me, I plugged in my 8MB proprietary memory stick, and picked up where I left off, banging my head against the Yayan Kutku-shaped wall. I remember the day I finally overcame my foe. I called up my cousin to tell him, and he promptly informed me that he'd beaten Kutku ages ago. I didn't get to lord anything over him, but I didn't really care too tough. I was satisfied with myself because I was clearly becoming a better hunter. All I had to do was practice and try over and over again. It was this simple and rewarding loop that I really latched onto. I hunted or gathered to pick up materials and earn money so that I could craft weapons and armor to make hunting and gathering easier. This was the Monster Hunter formula, and is still the Monster Hunter formula. It's persisted throughout subsequent games just like the monsters, locations, and weapons for the most part. But something that changed almost immediately, the reason this video exists, is the combat control scheme. Monster Hunter on PlayStation 2 had very simplistic combat controls, and very simplistic combat for that matter. And I'm sure they informed each other during development because monsters were fought with the right stick. There was a forward attack, there was a side attack, there was a back attack, and for some weapons there was a click attack. They made use of the DualShock with this clunky twin stick combat. It may seem insane to those of you that join the Monster Hunter community with World, or even you guys who only play the handheld games, but this is how it was. Left stick was for movement, of course, right stick was for attacking, and since Monster Hunter is a 3-dimensional game, the D-pad was used to control the camera. It's really not that bad considering how limited the original game is compared to the expansive and complex Monster Hunter world. You sort of have to stretch your right thumb over to the D-pad to maintain efficiency and movement. But it's not like you're moving during attacks in this one, so it's fine. With the greatsword, there's only the overhead, side slash, and rising slash. There's no shoulder bash, there aren't any jump attacks, and if you were planning on pulling your blade back into a charge attack, no dice. With Monster Hunter PlayStation 2, you only need what they give you, so you don't end up asking for more. It's really fascinating to look where the game is and where it started in terms of controls. Theoretically, all of the current Monster Hunter World controls could have been implemented in the first game. It's not like the controllers have drastically changed in the last 10 years. The face buttons could have been the attack buttons from the start, but that change didn't come along until the limitations of handheld devices. The PSP only had one analog stick, so the developers had to figure out a new control scheme for combat, and this is how it's been ever since. The D-pad was still camera control up until the new 3DS introduced the circle pad, and it wasn't until World that the game moved into the future with right stick camera control. Imagine my excitement when World was announced and I could stop buying Monster Hunter on Nintendo and play it comfortably on my home console. I'm so happy where we are in Monster Hunter's life. It's such a sweet spot. The game is beautiful, it runs great, the controls are efficient and intuitive, and I feel good when I play well. OG Monster Hunter is slower though. This game is a lot more deliberate. In combat, it felt like there were a lot of frames between transitions. I could only roll so quickly, so unless I was fine soaking up hits, my attacks needed to be calculated. It's almost completely different to how I play now, but reverting back wasn't too bad. I'm way more liberal and aggressive in Generations when I have add-up style at my disposal. I really shouldn't get hit at all unless it's a blindside or I'm hit mid-attack like an idiot. And in World, there's a plethora of combat moves and equipment that also promote taking risks with freeform and aggressive plays. But a lot of that doesn't exist in original Monster Hunter, so getting in and getting out is my tried and true way of playing. I wait a lot more for specific openings. For example, I know that when a Rathalos or Rathian turn around slowly, they'll do a projectile attack, leaving their head or tail open, as opposed to a quicker turnaround in which they'll likely charge depending on where the hunter is. The secret to not getting hit is as simple as learning the few patterns and spacing yourself properly. But isn't that the case for most games? Yes, it is. But the reason you should get a little practice with original Monster Hunter combat is because this is where it all came from. These are the bones of the monsters that you'll fight well into the future of the franchise, and it's very beneficial to get a good feel for where they've been to better appreciate where they've ended up. Hours need to be spent watching a Rathalos circle your area. You have to learn to fear the Bullfango Pact, you have to respect the dreaded hip check, and most of all, you have to deliver 3 herbivore eggs without the outstanding crutch of a ghillie mantle. You need to go through these trials and tribulations. The gist of what I'm saying is that all my years of playing Monster Hunter and its many iterations have made me a good hunter in Monster Hunter World. And in a nice self-fulfilling feedback loop, playing Monster Hunter World has improved my gameplay in these older games. I actually have one more triumphant story to tell you about this. When I went to record B-roll for Generations, I made a mental note to do the Golden Pair. For those who don't know, this is a 6-star village quest that requires you to slay 2 Verjongs in the arena. That means at the same time. All of my hunter friends know that this was my Generations mental block. I did every other village quest and most of the hub quests solo before I moved on to World, and periodically I would go back to try the Verjong and inevitably lose. So I went in to record thinking, okay, let me get some B-roll of myself getting rocked by these Verjongs. I'd maybe talk about it specifically or most likely not call attention to what was happening. But this was after I played through Monster Hunter for the purpose of this video. I had only done a few hunts to warm up prior, but there was something different about this Verjong run. I played smarter and I was working them over. Trust me, this doesn't mean that they still don't have my number, because they got a lot of good they got a lot of bullshit hits in. But I overcame them. After the first one went down, it was already over. I broke through my mental block. I am my own success story. I completely endorse all of my advice, and you should definitely take it. Figure out a way to play Monster Hunter on PlayStation 2. I guarantee you'll come away from it a better gamer. Other than playing actual Monster Hunter World, it's the best way to prepare for Iceborne. You should really see what it was like before all the quality of life changes. It'll make you appreciate what you have. Play as much Monster Hunter as you can, but give yourself a little time between them. Fast hopping between the same game with even marginally different inputs is a bit of a brain break. So on that note, I'll make my exit. How are you preparing for Iceborne? How much of a Monster Hunter expert are you? Let us know down in the comments, give us some real pro tips. And if you're looking for more videos like this, subscribe to Stunt Club Soda, keep coming back for more. But most importantly, have a nice day.